A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the ever merciful. Peace and blessings of God be upon you all, and welcome to the Humanity First Telethon 2023. I'm joined by the beautiful and ever-present Mr. Najm, who I'm enjoying the next hour or so with.
I've had some introductions, but that's a new one for me. But thank you, Mansoor. No, glad to be here, happy to be here, and happy to share some good stuff about Humanity First today.
Excellent. So I think over the next hour or so, we're going to hear all about the fantastic campaigns and projects that the Humanity First team is doing all around the world. And of course, some of the crazily interesting things, I should say, that are coming up are everything from the fantastic work that's been taking place in the Turkey and Syria earthquake, the response there, some of the response that's happening to what's been going on in the Ukraine, some interesting projects about women's health, and of course the fantastic flagship project, which is the Ivory Coast Hospital.
Yeah, it's an amazing project that is. There's a lot to talk about there.
Absolutely. We're going to start this all off by really going back to what is our drive, what is the push behind all the work that we do. Let's take a little look.
Irrespective of the cause of the suffering, if we claim to be true Muslims, it is our obligation and paramount duty to assist all people who are facing difficulties and to strive to alleviate their pain and distress. Our religion of Islam has taught us two overarching means of serving mankind. The first way is to bring people towards their Creator and to inspire them towards fulfilling His rights. Accordingly, it is the duty of every true Muslim to try to bridge the rift and void that is growing between humanity and Allah the Almighty. The second primary means of serving mankind is to help people in their time of need and to utilize whatever resources are available in order to bring ease and comfort to those who are deprived or facing trials and tribulations.
So you can see here, our cooks are serving dal at the moment and cooking rice. Some of this food will also cross the border. There are some helpers who are picking up our food and delivering it on the other side. So the people in need standing over there in line, they can receive some hot food. Also we have arrangement to make chai, and we have also people giving SIM cards for free for people arriving here, since the SIM card is not working when they reach Poland, crossing the Ukrainian border.
Humanity first, serving mankind. Humanity first, we live to serve.
So a very interesting and in-depth look there as to the ethos behind, the drive behind why Humanity First does what it does, irrespective of creed, colour, nationality, tax bracket, political affiliation. Regardless of any of that, it's all about serving humanity, as you can probably guess by the name. Now, I'm told that I'm saying we were told, but I mean, you are sitting in front of me, but we have the chairman of HF UK with us, Dr. Aziz Hafiz. But before that, I think it would be a good opportunity right now to, right at the beginning, get in there and tell about the telephone number and the donation link.
So we're asking people to donate towards all the causes today. So it's very simple. If you type in hfuK.org/donate, you go straight to the donation page on our website. You'll be able to donate to a various amount of different, it's on the should be on your screen right now, various different programs and work that we do. If that's a bit difficult and you'd rather give us a phone call, we've got people manning the lines as well. The number's 0300 561 0107. How am I going to keep remembering that?
We're going to keep looking down at our piece of paper.
We certainly are, I know.
But hopefully you'll remember it by the time we finish the show.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Aziz Hafiz, again, it's an honour to have you with us in the studio. I mean, we've already looked a little bit in the beginning about the ethos and the drive behind why Humanity First does what it does. You've obviously had a lot of experience working with HF around the globe, and I want to hear about that. But before that, I really want to know about some of the guidance that the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, has given you, particularly with these campaigns and all the things that are going on around the world.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace and blessings of God Almighty be upon you all, our viewers at home, and both of you and our teams here. So Humanity First has been very, very fortunate in terms of trying to fulfill the second aspect of faith, particularly for Muslims, in terms of serving humanity and serving God's creation. And in that regard, we've been very, very blessed by His Holiness Hazrat Amir al-Mu'mineen, may Allah strengthen his hand, his guidance. And his guidance has been very far-reaching, as we've all heard, and even today, as some of us have heard at the convocation. In terms of justice, absolute justice, in terms of serving our beneficiaries on the ground. So whether you're in a disaster zone, whether you are in a development zone, whether you are allocating beneficiaries for some food provision, for water wells, to ensure that the criteria that you're using is ensuring there is no favoritism to one community or another, there is no desire in terms of unnecessary competition in particular areas. So we've been very, very fortunate in that, and that's helped guide our teams a moral compass in terms of how they work on the ground. There's lots of NGOs that work on the ground and all do great work. I think we benefit from that moral guide, that it's all well and good serving humanity in a particular way, but our hope and prayer is more that God Almighty accepts that meagre sacrifice of ours. So with that, we have been witness to countless faith-inspiring incidents directly emanating from the guidance that His Holiness has given us.
I mean, it's interesting to hear an NGO, which often is seen as kind of an organisation which doesn't really have much affiliation anywhere, but very strongly talking about the drive being something purely religious almost, as it were, this theological drive. I mean, where does that kind of push come from, and how does it inspire you?
So, as a charity, as an NGO, Humanity First serves across all faiths, across all gender, ethnicity, yet the inspiration for that secular provision, the inspiration for that provision across the board actually emanates from faith. It actually emanates from our Islamic faith to serve humanity irrespective of where they come from and irrespective of their faith. So sometimes that's a difficult concept for certain people to understand. So the drive is faith-inspired, yet the implementation, the provision, does not discriminate on faith, on gender. And His Holiness Hazrat Amir al-Mu'mineen has been very, very powerful in terms of how he's insisted that our provision is just, and there's absolute justice in that provision.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think we're actually going to be looking at something to do with the work that's been going on as a response to the Turkey and Syria earthquake. So we're going to come back to you and we want to get some more information about that. So I think for now we'll have a little look at some of the fantastic work that's been going on there, and then we'll come back right here to the studio.
Hi, this is Aziz Hafiz, Chairman of Humanity First, and I'm here on the ground in northwest Syria. Just like to thank you for all your support, all your effort. With your efforts, we're able to look at rehabilitating houses, looking at providing healthcare in hospitals, supplies of equipment, medication, trying to support long-term health projects, looking at long-term rehabilitation. Thank you very much for all your support. And thank you to our partners and our colleagues at Multi-Aid Programs, Dr. Hassan Idlbi, who's going to tell you a little bit more about the opportunities to serve here in northwest Syria.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mohammed Hassan Idlbi, MAPS Multi-Aid Programs Director in Turkey and Syria. We were honored today to join Humanity First teams in their journey inside Syria in northwest Syria. We visited El Bab and the countryside. We visited education facilities, health facilities, governmental NGOs. We visited orphans. We are trying to collaborate and to provide better services and better future for these children, for these patients. So thank you so much for helping, and we will be proud of our mutual initiatives so soon, inshallah, and with your donations, with your contributions, we'll do it together.
So, as you know, the earthquake has caused catastrophic damage across Turkey and Syria. And here in Syria, where they're already going through a protracted crisis for the last 10 years, the earthquake has just pushed people over the edge with issues of education, health. So with your help, these projects that we are implementing on the ground with our colleagues to start moving, to get people to rebuild their lives, rehabilitate their houses, provide long-term health solutions, long-term solutions for supplies of medication and supplies of equipment so the professionals on the ground can do their job.
Humanity first, serving mankind. Humanity first, we live to serve.
So we're back here now, and with Dr. Aziz. So I think that video was amazing. You know, they showed a lot of the work that's gone on. And Dr. Saab, it's been a busy time, and unfortunately, conflict is rife along the world. But Humanity First, like you said earlier, has had an opportunity to help and serve people. The Ukraine war is still something that's ongoing at the moment, but Humanity First also had an opportunity to serve related to that conflict as well. Can you share something about that with us?
Absolutely. Yes, as you've said, it's very tragic. Conflict is abound, and the Ukraine crisis, Humanity First was blessed to support many of the Ukrainian refugees that were crossing the border across into Poland. And our efforts there were led by our German team, led by Dr. Atta Zubair, the chairman of Humanity First Germany. And we were quite honoured as the United Kingdom Humanity First branch to support that. And it was providing basic food provision and healthcare, and an emergency medical type 1 team on the Medyka border between Poland and Ukraine. And they served continuously for 3 months. For 3 months during the start of the war. In fact, the second or third day of the war, our German colleagues set up camp there to support hundreds and thousands of refugees that in some cases had travelled hundreds of miles. I remember personally watching an evacuation that the German government did of some elderly people from the Donbass area with wounds, ulcers, and they had travelled 20 hours non-stop in a coach. And as we then received them, our Dr. Vajat from Germany and our volunteer colleague, Sister Suzanne, that some of you may have seen us speak earlier, helped patch up their wounds, get them ready for their journey on towards Berlin. And just watching that was very painful, but at the same time, it was also very faith-inspiring because there were certain things that we just did not have at the time. And would you believe, we were all writing to His Holiness for prayers, And literally within 5 minutes of the 50-seater coach arriving, things that we wanted that we did not have arrived by God's grace. Food, pizzas, tea, coffee, all the refreshments for these people literally miraculously, people started calling us and say, do you want a pizza maker? Do you want some sandwiches? Do you want some apples? Do you want some drinks? And we had got the medical arrangement covered, but sadly we didn't have the refreshment side of things covered for these refugees. So I mention that because these services, you constantly are witnessing the favors of God Almighty and the direct impact of the prayers of His Holiness Khalifatul Masih V in terms of how on action on one hand, human action, coupled with human crying out to a divine maker to say, yes, we will act as best we can, but yes, we are begging you to help us. And when you see that help, it's very, very powerful.
It must be, it must be. Everyone that's tuned in right now, again, this is an important point to remember, that we're not sitting here telling you stories. We're not sitting here talking about things because we want to talk about them. The point of these stories is for you to attach yourselves to them and understand that the ease that we enjoy here in this life. I remember a couple of years ago, Dr. Saab and Najim, you also remember the fact that we had a fantastic telethon where we ordered pizzas. We had people calling in saying the pizzas weren't delivered. So, I mean, the prayers might get you your pizzas now, you never know. But the thing is, jokes aside, there are people out there right now going through all sorts of problems and tribulations and trials, and your donations can really make that difference. Of course, pray, and that is a huge thing. God, the Creator, is there to provide for all, but it's our donations and it's our charitable efforts that are really going to make a difference in people's lives right now. So if you have £5, £10, 100, 200, 1,000, 10,000, whatever it is, as long as you know in your heart that you've given as much as you can, and you don't let this moment go. So just a guy sitting here on the other end of a camera talking to you is one thing, but really I'm asking you to dig deep and make the donation. Of course, the number which we haven't yet memorized, but hopefully we will by the end of the show, 0300 561 0107, 0300 561 0107, or you can go online at hfuk.org/donate. Really dig deep, and I'm going to keep on saying it throughout the show because that's what this is all about.
I'd just like to add, if you'd permit, I think for us, all of us in Humanity First, Najib and I work and serve as volunteers within Humanity First. I think we are uniquely blessed, whether it's volunteers within Humanity First or whether it's you, the wider public, watching, in that this is a vehicle for us to somehow express our heartfelt desires to serve others. So Humanity First is a vehicle for us to help serve. So we feel quite privileged that in some very small way, we are able to bring people and actually provide and channel for them to fulfill their sacrifices.
You know, and just on that, Dr. Saab's talked about stuff we've done in other countries as well. You know, and Humanity First UK serves 10 countries. That's just what we do here in the UK. Other countries do a lot more as well. But if we're talking about domestically and stuff we do at home at the same time, you know, we're blessed to be able to run 2 food banks within the United Kingdom as well. And exactly what you said, that opportunity came up. We went through COVID, went through lockdowns. People were in real need, and we identified some opportunities. And simply by God's grace, we've been able to run 2 food banks successfully. And you talked about stories, Mansour, but you know, I am in that position where I get to see some of the messages that come through from some of the beneficiaries and you know, for the food bank. And I'm going to share 1 or 2 of them now. Please, because you're talking about donate and helping people. You honestly, in the United Kingdom at the moment, we know there's a cost of living crisis. The inflation just went up again a couple of days ago, and it's very, very real. It may seem that sometimes to people that the work Humanity First does is so global. What about us here in the UK? It's important. Home is home, right? So look, I'll share a couple of messages that we've got. People saying to us, look, due to ill health, I'm unable to work. Someone messaged us saying that I'm unable to work. I'm married with 2 children. Both of my children have autism, and I'm too sick to work. So my wife is a carer for not just for me, but for my 2 kids at the same time as well. So she's unable to work. So how do these people getting their means, you know? And I'm reaching out and wondering if I can access your food bank. So people have recognised that this is a service there, and you know, and because of my illnesses, I can't even get to you. Can you deliver it as well? So we're really lucky that we're able to even deliver food to people. And these are very real stories in the United Kingdom. Just one more I'll share with you. Someone messaged us to say, I'm struggling with my mental health at the moment, and I'm in debt with most of my bills and my mortgage, and I'm only receiving disability benefits. And this is not uncommon now. This is the scary bit, really. My son is with me, and I was asking, if there's any chance if I can receive a food parcel. I have no money for milk, no money for bread, and let me know. And the last bit that gets to me, and she goes, I'm really sorry to ask. So there's a you know, a reluctance in people. No one wants to go to a food bank. No one wants to be in that position. And we're in a position, and you are in a position to help us to help them. So please remember that website, hfuk.org/donate. Call us on 0300 561 0160. I'm going to get it right. 561 0107. And you will be helping people just like we've gone through today.
Absolutely. Dr. Aziz Hafiz, I mean, I'm quite happy because of the fact that whenever we see telethons or charity broadcasts or whatever it is, you have people sitting in suits in the studio, and you have people in slack pants and cargo pants out there doing the work, getting dirty, as it were. What I'm quite happy to see, and I'm sure the people at home are quite happy to see, is the person that's there doing the talking is also sitting here with us in the studio. Because it gives us that connect to know that people are actually out there doing the work, and we can see the people that are out there doing it, which is really important for us. Now, of course, Turkey and Syria, the earthquakes that happened there, no one hasn't seen the news. We've all seen the devastation that took place there. You were actually there on the ground. What work is going on there? What did Humanity First do? What did you see? And quite openly, why do they need money to carry out the services that they're carrying out?
Can I just say from the outset, it is only the guidance of His Holiness Hazrat Amir al-Mu'mineen, may God strengthen his hand, that we as leaders, servants of this organization are there to serve. One of his first instructions was very vivid, that you cannot run an organization from an office, that you need to be out in the field, you need to be in the field, you need to be in Africa, because until you are not in the field, until you are not sleeping in those villages with those beneficiaries, you don't feel the pain. So that is an instruction that I am trying to take to heart, and our team members are trying to take to heart as well.
Amazing.
So in terms of your second question was on the ground.
So when you were in Syria and when you were in Turkey, when you were in that area, we're not just leading the campaign, but actually getting there on the ground. What did you see, and what's needed there?
So the earthquake that has caused immense damage throughout Turkey and northwest Syria. The needs have been food, shelter, medicine, health, and you may have seen earlier our team in Germany. And again, our German colleagues, we are really proud of the leadership that they give at times like this in a disaster setting. They led on the Turkish side, and ourselves from the United Kingdom were leading on the work on the Syrian side. So on the Turkish side, they set up pretty immediately emergency medical treatment team, what's called an emergency, an EMT, emergency medical team, where they provided emergency doctors. We were fortunate enough from the UK to contribute regular doctors for a number of weeks, as well as our colleagues from the US and Canada, to provide basic health needs for a huge amount of internally displaced people.
And what kind of things do you actually see there? I mean, for people that have no medical background, we're imagining doctors going there. What do you see, and what do you actually have to do?
So in this particular setting, there was a huge amount of psychological trauma, huge amount. You can imagine, Turkey is a first world country. You will not tell the difference between Turkey and London. You know, high-rise flats, people with good cars. Yet, when all that is destroyed, the psychological trauma of losing your families, losing your... So there was a lot of psychological emergency therapy that was required by our physicians on the ground, as well as what you would expect to see, wounds in terms of patching up wounds, dealing with a lot of chronic disease, diabetes, bronchitis, that they'd lost their medication, they no longer had their insulin. So these were a lot of the medical needs that our teams responded to. And at the same time, food. So the Turkish authorities did an amazing job to try to help support. However, they were overwhelmed. The huge extent of the damage was so huge. And again, our German team was able to set up a food kitchen where they provided between 10 to 15,000 cooked meals every day, for at least 2 months. And they've only recently, I think last week, in coordination with the authorities, that has now come to a close. So these were some of the needs: health, food, shelter. And on the northwest Syrian side, working in conjunction with the United Nations, in coordination with the Office of Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs at the UN. As you have heard earlier, we have been able to work with established, approved partners to be able to provide rehabilitation of homes, damaged earthquake homes, rebuilding those homes for vulnerable people, for women, for people with disabilities, those that unfortunately in a disaster are left sometimes at the bottom of the pecking order in terms of rebuilding their homes. Also, we've been able to provide, thanks to your donations, and I must say the UK public has really dug deep to help this crisis. We've been able to support orphans also for their schooling, for their education. As you can imagine, the conflict has already damaged huge parts of the country, but then the earthquake has just really taken them a step back.
I can imagine.
So these are some of the needs on the ground that have been helped and have been fulfilled, and Humanity First has been able, in some small part, to be able to spend your sacrifices and fulfill your desires for the funds that you give us.
I mean, Dr. Aziz, I can only imagine, I'm putting you on the spot here, and I apologize for that. I can imagine that being on the ground, there was many things that you got to see. And when I say got to see, I don't mean you had the opportunity to see, I mean you were probably forced to see and you came across the sight of. Is there anything, because it's so difficult for people like us sitting here in our cushy areas, watching this on our big flat screen TVs and tuning in via 5G Wi-Fi's, to understand the horrors that go on in these places? What's the need of actually going out and helping them? Is there anything that comes to your mind when I say Turkey or Syria? Is there anything that comes to your mind? Is there a situation that you saw that thought, this is why I'm here?
Absolutely, and I'm conscious it's 6:30 in the evening in terms of the viewing time across the UK. So I'll be mindful of what I share, not to disturb our viewers. But you can imagine some of the disturbing stories that we could share after the sort of evening threshold time. But I would share with you one story. In one of the villages in Turkey, there was a security guard that was assisting in the camp, helping set up our medical supplies. Very happy fellow, smile on his face. And we've set up the camp, and we've sat having a cup of traditional Turkish tea, and we're getting to know each other. And he's told me that he's the only living person in his immediate family. He's lost his wife, he's lost 6 children, and he's lost his parents. And it just blew me away in terms of this man. He's lost all his family literally 4 days prior. And he's now working, helping us as a volunteer to set up and serve other people. I felt very embarrassed, very inadequate in terms of what limited help are we doing, that level of sacrifice. So yes, the resilience of people personally had a huge impact on me, if you ask in terms of what things had an impact on me that I can share at this evening.
Gosh, yeah. Oh, thank you very much for that. Najma, I think that this is a good opportunity for us to share the WhatsApp number, and again, just to remind people of the details for them to contact us on.
Yeah, sure. Look, we'd love for you to be able to send in some messages to us, share your thoughts. We're sharing ours, and hopefully you can get a gist of what we're trying to do here. It's really, really important that you do donate. But look, share your messages. We've got a WhatsApp number. It's been on the screen for a bit as well, but I'll repeat it. It's 07930 317 303. Once more, 07930 317 303. If you're watching at home with your family, just type in a quick message what you'd like to share on that.
Absolutely.
Next.
Again, I'm going to keep on reminding everyone at home, we're not just telling stories to pass the time. We're telling you these stories because this is the reality for people wherever they are in the world. The fact is that people are suffering and people need our help. If you can give your time, great. If you can give your money, great. But we need to do something to help people around the world. If we claim to be people that are moral, people that are good, and we sit by and let people around the world suffer and die while we sit quite happily living our lives of ease and comfort, we're not really doing justice to who we are and who we claim to be. So again, the number to call in 0300 561 0107. That's 0300 561 0107, or jump online if it's easier, hfuk.org/donate. But really, don't make this opportunity go. I'm going to keep on saying it, but really, the first time you hear somebody saying this, there should be something in your heart that pangs. That really, what's a £5 donation? What's a £10 donation? Whatever the donation is, it's down to you. But really, on the grand scheme of things, how much is it going to hurt you to donate that much money? We spend thousands of pounds on new smartphones and new laptops and buying the new car, and we push for £2,000-3,000 for a leather trim on our new car. But that money can give a life to somebody. Those mothers and fathers that are seeing their children die, or they're seeing their children starve, or they're seeing their children not able to slake their thirst or give them a single morsel of food. For these people, we must serve mankind. We must serve humanity. So it's time to dig deep and make sure that you get those donations in, please. I believe now we're going to be going on to another fantastic project, which is some of the work that Humanity First is doing regards to women's health. Let's take a look.
In many parts of the world, girls and women face significant barriers to education surrounding women's health. Lack of access to basic healthcare and sanitation facilities, as well as cultural taboos surrounding menstruation, prevents many girls from attending school and reaching their full potential. But there is hope. The Humanity First Sisters Around the Globe project is changing lives and transforming communities by empowering girls and women through education and health initiatives. Through partnerships with international Humanity First volunteers and medical professionals, the project provides resources and support for girls' education, as well as sanitary and hygiene products. The impact of this work is truly remarkable, as we see girls and women gaining access to education, developing new skills, and becoming leaders in their communities. Join us in supporting the Humanity First Sisters Around the Globe project and help us empower girls and women around the world to reach their full potential.
Humanity first, serving mankind. Humanity first, we live to serve.
Water. Many of us take it for granted. Open a tap. Clean water flows into your hands. More than 750 million people still don't have access to clean water. Many women and girls travel tens of miles to collect water for their families every day, which is often contaminated with dangerous pathogens. Humanity First has installed over 2,800 water pumps and wells, providing clean, sustainable water to over 4 million people, reducing disease, freeing families, and giving children back their childhood. Just £2,000 gives a community clean, sustainable water, not just now, but for years to come.
Humanity first, serving mankind. Humanity first, we live to serve.
So again, a very interesting look there into some of the fantastic work that's going on around the world. Again, an opportunity for us to remind ourselves as to why we're all here today. We've just heard from the chairman of Humanity First United Kingdom. We'll be hearing from a few other very, very important people over the course of this broadcast. Again, it's time for us to donate. The point of this show is not for us to listen and work out and have a nice time as to what's going on around the world. The point really right now is for us to get as much donations as possible. If you're listening in live, if you're listening into this being played afterwards on YouTube or wherever else it is, it's not too late to work, because the fact is that this telethon is a small period of time, but the work continues throughout the year. So whenever you hear this, even if it's years later, make the donation. The numbers you can call in, of course, right now and shortly after, 0300 561 0107, or jump online at hfuk.org/donate. We're actually going to be looking now, we've heard a little bit about the work that's been going on with the projects around the world. We actually had an opportunity to speak to Dr. Atiya, who's on the ground and has been giving work herself, putting in the hours, putting in the effort herself. We're going to have a little bit of a look at some of the work that she's been doing on the ground in Kenya with regards to the women's health and some of the educational programs that are being run by Humanity First. Let's take a look.
On a daily basis, we have almost 800 million women menstruating. On average, a woman can bleed up to, say, 10 years of her life. So if a woman's bleeding for that long, we need to ensure that her menstruation is as safe and comfortable as humanly possible. In Kenya specifically, up to 50% of girls do not have access to sanitary pads. And this brings me to the concept of period poverty. So this is a global issue. It's of course not exclusive to Kenya or sub-Saharan Africa, but in essence, it's basically just the lack of sanitary products, menstrual hygiene education, hand washing facilities, and proper waste management. So what happens if, as a result of period poverty, if a girl does not have access to these services, these girls and women resort to using unconventional means to actually manage their menstruation. And these means are very unhygienic and unsafe for them. So you will find girls using chunks of mattresses or rags, and in the rural areas, even there's reports of girls using goat skin and dried leaves, just something that can basically hold the flow. So all these different means basically expose them to a lot of urogenital infections, and they affect their physical health. This can also have a very detrimental effect on their mental health. So in our setting, we don't really have a lot of education on menstruation. So at menarche, when a girl starts menstruating, she probably might not know what is happening to her body. So when she just starts bleeding, she has actually no idea what's happening. We had a Humanity First outreach in one of the villages, and one of the girls told us that when she started her menstruation at about 11, she just started popping all sorts of over-the-counter medications in the hope to try and just stop the flow. She had no idea what was happening to her until someone, saw stains, and then they talked to her about menstruation. So this puts girls through a lot of emotional trauma because they don't really understand what's happening to them. Also in line with mental health, when a girl in our setting is not able to properly manage her menstruation and she's staining as a result, and she goes to school or in a social gathering and they see that the stains and everything, it puts her through a lot of stigma. And we've actually had reports in Kenya where recently, I think earlier this year, a young girl in primary school committed suicide because she started menstruation in school and little boys mocked her and they made fun of it. We have girls committing suicide because of all the stigma surrounding menstruation. Another consequence of improper menstrual hygiene management is the effect this has on a girl's education. On estimate, 1 out of every 10 girls in Africa misses out on school due to menstruation because she can't manage it, so she doesn't go to school. This, of course, has a very adverse effect on her education, her performance, and opportunities. In Mandera, quite a rural place in Kenya, a girl said that she has to dig up a hole and basically just sit in it the whole time that she's menstruating. So she misses school, she misses everything else while she is menstruating. Another effect this improper management can have is because girls are not able to afford these pads. We have, in our setting, we've had reports about very despicable humans who take advantage of the fact that these girls cannot afford menstrual pads. So they exploit them sexually. So a lot of girls are forced into, prostitution to be able to just afford pads. We've had a lot of reports of this kind in Kenya in the past. This also takes a very heavy financial burden on the girls and the ladies, those who do not give in to the pressure of prostitution and they choose to buy the pads for themselves. It's very financially burdening for them to be able to afford that. Humanity First took up menstrual hygiene as a project, and we realized that this was a very important problem that we needed to address, so we did exactly that. We set up an outreach in a high school in Kangemi, Nairobi, and we reached out to about 70 girls. We gave them donations of washable, reusable pads and also donated some food to them. We did an outreach to a small village. We had the chance to meet 350 girls of the village. It was quite remote. This was an initiative set up by a medical student who reached out to us for help, and we were happy to help her out with this. So this was a very holistic kind of mentorship whereby we taught the girls, we mentored them about the problems that they face in their setting, like teenage pregnancies, lack of education, and problems to do with early child marriages. So we also definitely put a greater emphasis on menstrual hygiene, and we donated the pads to them, and we also put great emphasis on education for these girls. And we donated the HF bags for them, and each of the bags was filled with a lot of stationery for them. So every girl at the end of the day got a lot of pads, and she got back to school stationery and bags as she went home. So what we're basically trying to do here is to create more sustainable and eco-friendly means for these girls to manage their menstruation. Because if, let's say for the washable, reusable pads that we give them, a girl can use that for up to 4 years, and she doesn't have to buy pads for that period. And if we give them menstrual cups, then they can use those for up to 10 years, and they won't have to buy pads for that period of time.
Humanity first, serving mankind. Humanity first, we live to serve.
Some funds were raised entirely for the sake of helping the suffering humanity. I decided to spend that money on the poor people, and that is exactly what we are doing. Not only in one country, but in Ghana, in Nigeria, where are the people suffering. Moreover, we had means of helping people with human sacrifice, which coupled with the meager financial resources makes a sizable contribution. But without that human sacrifice, that small contribution financially would not mean anything. Now, our experience tells us that if we spend money ourselves for a good cause, the result is 10 times more satisfactory.
Welcome back to the Humanity First Telethon 2023. Again, we are expecting people to be sending in their donations. The number to call in on is 0300 561 0107, or you can jump online at hfuk.org/donate. So please dig deep and make those donations. We are joined by Mr. Rafiq Ahmed Hayat Sahib, a face known to all, not only the national president of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association here in the United Kingdom, but of course also a trustee of Humanity First as well. And Amir Sahib, Jazakumullah, thank you very much for joining us. Just before we gain your insight and ask you some questions about Humanity First, we're actually going to be looking at the video back in 1992 when Hazrat Sayyid Abe, the fourth caliph of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, talked about the Humanity First in his Friday sermon. Let's take a little look.
तमाम बड़े-बड़े मुल्कों में जमात अहमदिया को ये जायजा लेना चाहिए कि जिस तरह रेड क्रॉस वगैरह इंटरनेशनल सोसाइटीज हैं, उस तरह अगर मजहबी सोसाइटियां भी एक बैनुल अक़वामी हैसियत से पेशानी और जानी जाएं और उनका एक मकाम कायम हो सकता हो, तो जमात अहमदिया को अब वक्त आ गया है कि अपनी आज़ाद सोसाइटी बनानी चाहिए। तो जमात अहमदिया के मर्जी के ताबे खिदमत करे और तक़वा और इंसाफ के साथ खिदमत करे, और मजहब व मिल्लत और रंग व नस्ल के इम्तियाज के बगैर खिदमत करे और इस खिदमत में गैरों को भी शरीफ लोगों शरीफ नफ्स गैरों को भी साथ शामिल करें। तो जायजा लेना चाहिए। जहां तक मेरा तासुर है, ईसाई अंजुमनों को इस बात की इजाजत दी है और बाकायदा रजिस्टर्ड हैं यूनाइटेड नेशंस के साथ। अगर ये मेरा तासुर दुरुस्त है तो जमात अहमदिया को पूरे जोर से अब कोशिश करके बैनुल अक़वामी खिदमत खल्क़ का इदारा कायम करना चाहिए और उस इदारे का दायरा कार तमाम बनी नौ इंसान तक आम होगा और उसमें सिर्फ अहमदियों से चंदा नहीं लिया जाएगा बल्कि शरीफ नफ्स दुनिया के किसी भी इंसान से जो इस इदारे में शामिल होकर खिदमत करना चाहता हो उसको भी खिदमत का मौका दिया जाएगा। अल्लाह ताला इसकी तौफीक अता फरमाए।
Humanity first, serving mankind. Humanity first, we live to serve.
What a powerful message there given by Hazrat Khimsi Rabi, the fourth Caliph of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. Najm, one thing that really stood out to me there was where His Holiness is talking about the fact that even though this is a charity set up and organised by the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, membership is not limited only to members of the community. It's something which is much wider and it spans much further beyond.
Yeah, we've got volunteers who help us. For instance, I mentioned the food banks earlier, who are not even members of the community, and they're extremely dedicated.
It's fantastic work happening around the globe. Again, like I've already introduced, we are honoured to have Mr. Rafiq Ahmed Hayat Saab here with us in the studio. Amir Saab, when we look at fundraising, I know everyone has always listened to the fantastic stories about how Humanity First has started and the history, and we've enjoyed hearing that from you many, many times. But Amir Saab, right now, of course, we're here for fundraising. It's about the raising of funds, and I think there's no one better here to talk about fundraising than yourself. So Amir Saab, what would you give as a message to people that are tuning into the HF Telethon this year?
Firstly, Assalamu alaikum
Wa alaikum assalam.
you and all your viewers.
Jazakumullah.
You know, we have just finished the holy month of Ramadan. And during Ramadan, there are three ashras. The first ashra is called Rahmat. And this is where we besiege Allah's mercy. But when we besiege His mercy, we cannot just seek His mercy if we are not merciful to His creation. And in order for us to be merciful to His creation, we have to learn to forgive, to give generously, to donate, to help the poor. If we understand what is the purpose of our creation, the purpose of our creation is not so that we can have big homes, big cars, 2 holidays a year, and have lots of clothes. If that was the purpose of our creation, then we would be living a very shallow life. The true purpose of our creation is to be one with Allah the Almighty and to win His pleasure. And therefore Ramadan teaches us this in a very beautiful way. One, we fast during Ramadan to understand the suffering of other people who are less fortunate than us. Here in the UK, Allah has blessed us with everything. He has given us food, we can eat whatever we want 3 times a day. Our fridges are full, and we've got plentiful in every aspect. We do grazing all day. And however, I've been watching TV earlier before I came here. What is happening in Africa and other parts of the world is that children are starving, absolutely nothing to eat, right? They're lucky if they can get 1 meal a day from some charity. And therefore, Ramadan teaches us that we should understand what is the true purpose of our life. And if we want to win Allah's pleasure and Allah's forgiveness and Allah's mercy, then we need to seek His pleasure. And the way you seek His pleasure is by thinking of all those poor people around the world who are less fortunate than us and who are so desperate that they have nothing to eat. So this is the time now to open our hearts, because Allah has given us plentiful every one of us got, especially in the West. We all have beautiful cars, we all have beautiful homes. And also, just to give a few pounds where makes absolutely no difference to you is a meaningless exercise. When you want to win Allah's favor, you have to do enough so that it hurts, right? Unless it really hurts you, unless it pinches you, unless it impacts upon your normal life, then it is not a true sacrifice. And therefore, maybe this year, we have to give up a holiday. We have to give up buying a new car or a new home and share whatever we have with those less fortunate than us who are starving all around the world. And that is the only way we're going to seek Allah's pleasure. Now, I've often spoken about the story of Alexander the Great. See, when he was about to die, he called one of his viziers, one of his ministers, and he said to him, "Will you do me a favor? When I die, leave my hands outside the coffin," right? And the minister said, "Excuse me, you are one of the greatest kings, you have such fortune, you have big palaces, you've conquered half the world. So why is it that you want to die with your hands outside the coffin?" And his response was, "I want the people to know I came into this world with nothing and I'm leaving this world with nothing." And that's the bottom line. We're all going to leave this world with absolutely nothing. All this thing we accumulate during our lifetime becomes a meaningless exercise. The only thing you take with you is the good deeds that you've done on this earth, your piety, your generosity, your help of other people, you forgiving people. When, one thing I've learned from the Khulafas is that once they forgive somebody, they absolutely clean their heart. There's no further prejudice, no conditional. You completely clean your heart. And if we want to win Allah's pleasure, firstly, we have to go and start forgiving people. This is what Ramadan teaches us, the first Ashra. And be a positive helper to Allah's creation, not just a standby, where you dip in a couple of pounds in your pocket and give away. Now, this concept, I was speaking to Aziz Hafiz Saab earlier, by the grace of Allah, our children understand this much better in this country. They have learned the meaning of sacrifice. And they are fully involved with this process. They will collect whatever the money they've got. Even when we started doing Waqf Jadid scheme, we made little boxes. And children put money in those boxes. And at the end of the year, when it was Waqf Jadid time, they would come and donate whatever they had. So if our children have that sensibility, then the grown-ups have to understand that if they truly want to win Allah's favor, they have to realize the purpose of their creation. They have to realize why they're here. And if they understand that, then we'll get out of the rat race, we'll become more conscious, and then we'll open our hearts and give generously to those who are less fortunate than us.
Absolutely. I think, but there's nothing left to be said, I think. I think
No.
that encapsulates it. The fact is that we live lives of luxury, we live lives of comfort, and we live lives of ease. And it's only when we really think about other people that we actually can dig deep and make those sacrifices.
I think the one thing I would ask Amir Sab is that the Jamaat, the Ahmadi Muslim community, supports lots of charities and has done for many, many years. And I've seen you address them and thank them for the good work that they do as well. It's not just Humanity First, obviously, but there is a distinguishing fact between Humanity First, perhaps, and other charities as well. And I'd like to know what your thoughts on that are. What makes us a bit different? Why should people donate to Humanity First specifically?
You see, one thing that we mustn't forget is that there are lots of people around this world who do excellent work in this field. It's not only just the Ahmadis.
Right.
But Ahmadis have something special. We've got Khilafat. Yeah. And because we have Khilafat, we're constantly reminded of our responsibilities to Allah the Almighty. And when you're constantly reminding, every week, every Friday, every other day, you're reminded of what your responsibilities are, then you develop an inner responsibility. You know, we in the Quran, and the Prophet ﷺ has written in the philosophy of the teaching of Islam that the human development of spirituality is based on three positions. One is nafs-e amara, where we either live for the moment. We don't have any sense, we just do, we exist, we don't have any right or wrong, and we just live our lives without thinking. That is when you're the first category, called nafs-e amara. Then if you transfer on to the next category, which is nafs-e lawama, this is where you consciously start to think about what is right and wrong, right? And once you become conscious of what is right and wrong, then you start to think about what your true responsibilities are. And that is when everything that you do it thinking about Allah first and saying, what is it that Allah wants me to do? And when you become conscious of your responsibilities and your inner self speaks to you every time, that is when you will start to reform yourself and you will move away from that basic animal state of nafs-e amara to a more refined and mature state of nafs-e lawama. And our main objective is to get to that stage of nafs-e mutmainna, where you are one with your Creator, you are in peace with yourself, the creation, and Allah. And in order to achieve that, you have to then give everything you have, almost. Your love, your generosity, your money, everything you give for the sake of others. And one thing that the West, they have lots of material wealth, but you see with that material wealth, they're all on depression. Money does not buy you happiness. You can have all the money in the world, but it doesn't give you happiness. The inner peace only comes when you have developed that relationship with your Creator. And that can only come when you help His creation, when you help those people who deserve our help. And once you start doing that, then you're on the right path, the path of the righteous. And then eventually, if you continue to work at it, you'll get to that very noble place called nafs-e mutmainna. That's what we want. What we should all be aspiring to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why HF, I guess, huh?
Yeah, that's why.
That's it. That's
why HF.
Absolutely.
Guys, 0300-561-0107. We've heard now from Amir Saab talking about why HF, and again, it's not just a simple £1 or £2 donation. This is something we give until it pinches, we give until it hurts, and only then can we aspire to leave that, as Amir Saab has said, the animalistic state, and move towards a state where we are happy with God and where God is happy with us. So again, Amir Saab, thank you so much. It was an honor to have you here in the studio. Thank you very much for your guidance, and again, from everyone at home, Jazakumullah Ahsanal Jazaa. We're going to now be having a little look at the brand new flagship project, which has been going on for a couple of years. I said brand new, but it's been going on for a couple of years, but the work is a gargantuan one, and this is why we need your donations. And having heard from Amir Saab, we're going to be looking into it and having a bit more of an understanding. Having learnt from this, we're going to be making our donations. So let's have a little bit of a look at the Ivory Coast Hospital, the Masroor Hospital for Health.
Let me take you to the hospital site. This is the main entrance of the hospital. This is the main reception hall for the hospital. It is, you can see we have given an opening in the sky for the green area. Here it is going to be the main admission office. The seating area will have approximately 50 people who can sit here. On my left, as you can see, those people are working, and we have 8 outpatient clinics. It also has a triage. Let me take you to the next block. This is an IT room. There is a small administrative block here, which has a director's office, administrator office, a meeting hall, and couple of cabins for the admin staff. On the left here, as you can see, this is a separate diagnostic area which has a lab, X-ray, ultrasound, and one endoscopy unit. This is another open area, a green area for the patients. And with our experience, we have found out that the green areas help a lot for the recovery of the patients. This is the support services. It has a kitchen, staff dining, a hospital store, and the hospital laundry. 4 outbuildings, which has a medical gas room, a mortuary, and 1 electrical room and a space for generator. But this has 11 semi-private rooms, which has 22 beds. And then we also have a VIP room, specifically for those people who would like more privacy. This is a typical semi-private room. It has been plastered, and we have tried to make sure that every inpatient room has an opening towards the outside and has a window. This is the main nursing station, and there is another entrance because we have created an isolation room at the end of this hallway. We have a 4-bed ICU here, and this was the link I showed you from the other side, which has, this is the 24 hours diagnostic service area. This again is the main corridor which is linking emergency on my left towards the main outpatient area. And where I'm standing, there is a corridor which goes towards the main inpatient area. And then on my right, we have a maternity wing, which has 3 labor rooms, a post-op room for the mothers. Then there is 1 neonate ICU here as well. This is a set of the operation theaters we have. We have 2 operation theaters, which comes equipped with a post-op and a pre-op, and including the sterilization. And this is very near our emergency. Here is a 5-bed emergency, which at this moment is being used as one of the stores for the tiles which we got imported from Turkey. This is the other entrance of the hospital, which is the emergency. Coming here, this is separate from the main entrance, and because it will be a 24-hour emergency, so we will be taking care of the patients, of course, from the neighboring areas and across Abidjan as well. We need your support and help to make it close to the finish line. And by the grace of Almighty Allah and the blessings and the continued support of our donors, we hope that in about 15 months' time, we should be able to open the door for our patients.
Humanity first, serving mankind. Humanity first, we live to serve.
So again, we've had a number of very, very interesting projects that we've been having a look at. And of course, those of you that are familiar with how our telethons work, we like to show you the work that's actually happening, not just in hypotheticals. Rather, we want to show you the work that's happening on the ground, because every penny and pound that you give transforms lives and makes the quality of life around the world for people just that little bit better. Again, we have to say the fact that these hospitals are not just this hospital in particular is not just a small hospital in the local area. This hospital is something which is a transformative beacon. This hospital is something which is operating in the region, ready to try to change the way that healthcare works in the area. It's training doctors, it's bringing those facilities to those areas that have not had access to this kind of healthcare before. So it's not just serving local patients. This is something which will transform the region. And this is why we need your donations.
So like you said, Masood, there's huge plans for this hospital. Like I said, not just giving healthcare, but the training and the amount of work that goes on. And honestly, this is an ongoing project, and we've finally got to a place where you have just seen. It's miraculous for us to see this. The guys for us that are involved in trying to deliver this, it has only got to where it's got to by God's grace and through your donations. You know, overall it's a $3 million project, and 50% of that is from Humanity First UK. The others are our colleagues in Canada are working. So it's a joint project, which is transatlantic, if you're right, and the people in Africa, specifically in the Ivory Coast, are going to be the beneficiaries. So we need all the help we can get for this project.
I mean, a point to make on that. I mean, you notice that we said it's a $3 million project. Now, if you look at that, what is that in our day-to-day lives? That's what, three-bedroom houses in London, maybe, if that?
Yeah.
And this is a project which is not about 6 or 7 people living in a house in comfort. This is something which is transforming lives. This is something which is not only saving lives, transforming lives, giving livelihoods, saving people from the brink of death, really changing lives for the better. And what does it require from you? No one's asking you to sell your 3-bedroom house and give all the money. If you want to, by all means do so. But the fact is that you're making donations that pinch, as Amir Sahab said. Make the donations so that you can say that I made a difference to somebody's life. And that's a feeling that you can't get anywhere else. If you give the money, make the donation, make the sacrifice, you are actively helping people around the world to have that better quality of life. So, on that point, 0300 561 0107, 0300 561 0107. Make those donations now, dig deep. Try to, like as Amir Sahab said, this is about not going on holiday maybe this year. This could be not going to have takeout this week. Whatever it is for you, whatever sacrifice you can make the donation so that you can help people around the world. Or jump on hfuk.org/donate. Again, however you want to do it, just make the donation.
And an example of how someone can or how someone has, we're giving you the WhatsApp message, and someone messaged us saying, Jazakallah, thank you for the amazing work that you do at Humanity First. I've donated a day's salary to your telethon and encourage others to do so, to do the same if you're not sure how much to give. So there's a perfect example of how you can actually do that and share the love when it comes to that as well. And just other messages we've had in saying, look, firsthand, I've seen the work of Humanity First, and that kind of social proof which people need. The people have actually seen the work firsthand, and it's amazing that the work you do. But it's nothing without donations. Absolutely. It's nothing without people coming forward and putting your best foot forward, and whatever you can give in the best possible way. We've had a great example just there. I'm sure there's hundreds of more that'll be out there as well.
Absolutely. I mean, over the course of this past hour or so, we've had all of the different projects, all the different campaigns. Of course, this is a drop in the ocean. HF UK, but there's many other Humanity First that operate all around the world. And the ethos, of course, driving it is that of serving mankind. That's something that we live and we breathe. And I think it's something that everyone at home understands as well. And where our prayers are there, and they should be as fervent as possible, we should also try to make those very physical, very real donations so that we can drive these projects and these campaigns as well. Just before, I know we're going to be finishing off for today, and we're going to be ending with the blessed words of His Holiness, the worldwide head of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, His Holiness Hazrat Mirza Masroor Ahmad, the 5th Caliph of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. But before we end on his blessed words, I think everyone's waiting for it, Najm Bhai. Like,
Yeah, okay,
what's the figure?
So, look, telethon, just like our projects, telethon are not one-day wonders or anything like that. These are campaigns. So, only by God's grace, today we're announcing that our campaign has got up to £245,000. But again, you know,
it's still a long way to go.
Yeah, it's a long way to go. We just told you how much it costs for the hospital, so we got a long way to go. But thankfully, through your donation, through your sacrifices, we've got to that stage of £245,000. But please carry on.
So, guys, it's been a pleasure here in the studio. We've really enjoyed having your company. You've seen all about the different campaigns, all of the different work that's happening through the wonderful team of Humanity First. Again, please donate one last time, 030056100107, or jump online at hfuk.org/donate. It's been a pleasure with both of us here in the studio. Thank you very much, Jazakumullah Khair, for everyone at home. Please keep the donations coming in. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And we'll end with the words of beloved Hazur.
Always remember that the founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, the Prophet Messiah Islam, directed the members of the Jamaat on countless occasions towards serving others and towards fulfilling the needs and rights of mankind. On one occasion, the Prophet Messiah Islam said, Allah the Almighty repeatedly commands that irrespective of religion or ethnicity, you should show love and compassion to all people. It says, Allah commands us to feed the hungry, free those shackled in bondage, pay off the arrears of those mired in debt, shoulder the burdens of others, and fulfill the rights of sincere love owed to mankind.